Hi, my name is Mia Perez, and this is our service learning presentation. Joining me is Maria Philp, Marissa Cortez, and Melody Mercado. So our community partner that we joined up with was Literacy NJ. Literacy NJ offers free adult literacy and language learning services. The goal is to provide a safe and supportive learning environment for a diverse group of adults who want to improve their reading and writing skills, as well as their English language skills, tech skills, and prepare for citizenship courses. We recruit volunteers to work with students individually and in small groups. In addition to helping students develop their literacy skills, they also provide support for adults who want to prepare to pass the high school equivalency exam, the U.S. citizenship test, and job readiness. And according to their website, I would like to read their statement. At Literacy New Jersey, we believe every adult deserves the opportunity to read, write, and communicate effectively. Through our network of trained volunteer tutors, we provide free, personalized instruction in reading, writing, math, and English language skills. Tutors work with adults in small groups to help them achieve their personal, professional, and educational goals. Literacy New Jersey and its affiliates proudly offer adult literacy services across all counties in New Jersey, empowering learners to improve their lives and communities. So for our problem of practice, we created a safe and effective learning environment to build confidence for an English learner, integrating vocabulary and grammar exercises and lessons cater to the students' lives that will improve their language skills. So we were mainly targeting recent immigrants. That was the main group of people that have come to seek services. So for our social determinants of health and health disparities, the main ones that we focused on were educational access and quality, as well as economic stability. So one way that it affects the social determinants of health is that not everyone has access to prior schooling and educational opportunities that are required to learn a second language. Many of the adults who seek services are at Literacy NJ are recent immigrants who need tutoring, and that is easily accessible. Classes are offered during daytime and nighttime hours to ensure that students can find a time that works for them. Also, students and their tutors communicate with each other to find a time that works for both of them. Tutors also receive 15 hours of training and are matched with students whose learning needs match their abilities. This ensures that every student is receiving quality language education that prioritizes their individual goals. Many adults also struggle to have the financial resources required to seek these types of services. So this can especially impact minority populations. Financial stability may affect an individual's ability to pay for classes, books, and transportation required to seek these types of services. Literacy NJ offers its services for free to expand the opportunities for adults. These are connected to health disparities because poor literacy skills in populations with limited access to education can lead to poor health outcomes, such as poorer disease management and shorter life expectancy. Also, populations with poor financial stability have an increased risk of chronic diseases and mental health issues from financial stress. These disparities can impact an adult's ability to reach their full potential when studying a new language or developing their literacy skills. Literacy NJ considers these disparities and makes sure that their tutors know how to create a safe and a respectful learning environment for their students, regardless of gender, race, or economic social status. Everyone receives the best quality services. So the type of service that we chose was direct service because we felt that it was easier to create lessons and include supplementary content that when we have face-to-face contact with real conversations and learning their backgrounds and stories. Literally, so counties being merged, the majority of students residing in Atlantic County. This program specifically in the case of their ESL students typically are low-income immigrants. Although the range of students who may need to access the resources may come from a lesser educated background, are tech literate, or non-citizens who wish to acquire citizenship.
And here's a slide that goes further into the stats of the people that we are serving in Atlantic County. So the percentage of Atlantic County residents who have limited English proficiency is around 16%, and many more who do not speak English as a primary language in the home. Additionally, with the low income factor, it was stated in 2023 that the median income in Atlantic County was around 40,000, and that is, I mean, slightly above minimum, so kind of low. And yeah, just added these because it is critical that these services and resources that the program provides are accessible. So here are a few photos from the newsletters that we get sent every month about upcoming classes in January, like the Computer Basics and a Citizenship class, and also some events. These are both yearly. The first one is the Martin Luther King Jr. Day event, which happens every year in January at our office, and Literacy for Life, a conference that takes place in TCNJ.
For our project SMART goal, our team said that we would create one vocabulary sheet, one grammar sheet, and one homework sheet per week for 8 weeks that were related to the topic being taught each week so that we could assist Maria's higher beginner ESL student, YJ, in her English learning process. So basically, we were all assigned a different role in what we were going to create and help her out. We said that we would achieve this goal by delegating all of the work. As I said previously, each person was assigned a task and they were set to complete that each week. Everyone had a different worksheet that they had to create so that our student was able to cover a large amount of content for each topic. We pre-planned how they would all be created and where they would be created and what resources could be utilized. So overall, this just helped us feel a lot more confident throughout the process because we knew that all the work would be completed and that it would be of good quality. So our community work in our service, we created worksheets for Maria's ESL student YJ. She's an aspiring college student who wants to refine her English skills and is a high beginner. Everyone had an assigned role that contributed to the lesson plans. The main resources that we used were Google and Canva. Maria was responsible for then choosing themes and creating a lesson plan for each week and giving her student these worksheets to complete. Melody created a vocabulary worksheet and Marissa did grammar. Mia created the homework worksheets that included elements from the vocabulary and grammar worksheets, as well as writing a prompt for the student to practice their writing skills. Although we each had an individual role, we had to work as a team to decide on what common vocabulary and grammar tenses would be used for each worksheet that could relate to the topic chosen each week.
And to kind of focus on how I prepared the lessons as a whole, this is a photo I have of the first time I met YJ, where we discussed her goals. And these were the ones that were top priority for her and why she had joined the program. And for most, if not all of the students participating in Literacy NJ, specifically the ESL tutoring, is to improve their job prospects and opportunities for their new lives in the US. And we are trained very specifically to cater our lessons to the students' lives and have a student-focused mindset. So here are the lessons that the ladies all helped me with all 5 weeks. So we've got a theme and then also a grammar. And the forms, like, they weren't exactly the same type of forms each week. They were just adjusted to meet the needs. Like, for example, on Halloween, there was no grammar focus since it was heavily vocabulary and conversation focused session. And many of the lessons are culturally focused since it's the holidays, and her and I only met for a couple weeks before we started this project, so it was kind of still to like have these kind of fun conversations about cultural differences and get to know each other better. And here are a few examples specifically for the last week. So you've got the homework on the left, then the vocab, then we have some prompting sentences. And here we have two vocabulary sheets, which Mel made. And some homework examples with some written in answers that I got from YJ. And some grammar and prompt examples. And this is something I also added each week, which were conversation questions. And this I feel like is where my student really shines. She likes to just have conversation because I am the only person that she like regularly speaks English with. So it's kind of nice to have these same questions and again, build rapport, get to know each other better. And also these two activities, which are from two separate lessons, the Halloween and the social discrimination, as kind of a break to make learning fun, something separate than like the weekly sheet.
So we believe that our project goals were achieved and that Maria's student YJ received quality educational services over the past month. So we were able to achieve our goal because we each had a specific part in YJ's educational plan, and we used a group chat that we used to communicate throughout the semester and assign each other specific parts and communicate any difficulties that we may have had. YJ also completed all of her assignments and made significant progress by putting extraordinary effort into her assignments. She is also able to take practice from these worksheets to expand her knowledge of the English language and apply feedback in her home, work, and social environments. So what worked and what didn't work for our group? So a slight change that we made to the SMART goal was that we ended up doing 5 different themes for 5 weeks instead of 8. Our original goal stated that we would do 8 consecutive weeks, but that only changed because of student availability and scheduling conflicts. And these changes did not impact any of our students, and we were able to greatly benefit our students with the practice problems. So our group worked very well together overall. We were able to quickly build trust with one another by showing commitment to our projects. We all contributed and played parts to help each other and committed our time to make sure everything was submitted on time. Our biggest struggle as a group was probably just communicating when we had such busy schedules. They did not always align, but that made it difficult to set up meetings, phone calls, and any other in-person communication that we had to do. But eventually we were able to come up with time to come together and make sure that everything was submitted on time and that all of our work was fully completed and that we put in full effort. For learning experiences, we learned a lot about cultural awareness of childhood and food in Peru. We learned a lot about English teaching skills, and we practiced active listening when students shared struggles with discrimination. It relates to our course learning because through coordinating with the team, we enforced our collaborative skills. And through teaching the lessons, Maria was able to gain perspective on being a young immigrant.
All right, and here I just wanted to talk about YJ's progress throughout the 5 weeks and specifically with the sheets that we created for the vocab. This challenged her English comprehension. For the grammar, she is now able to self-correct, specifically with using the past tense and a big emphasis on irregular. And the homework, she was able to express herself more freely in English writing. I have some pronunciation milestones below. This was a big one. She works at a restaurant. She used to pronounce these the same way. They were both like diner, but now she knows the difference between dinner and diner. And past simple verbs, she would usually pronounce the ed always as ed, but that's not the case for some examples below, like recognized, enforced. echoed, grabbed, like they have that short D sound, so like there's there's been an improvement there. And also, we first texted in Spanish when I first met her, and now we text exclusively in English. I explain concepts to her in English, and specifically with the lesson on social discrimination for the ML to prepare for the MLK event coming up. It brought a pretty serious conversation about some discrimination that her and her coworkers have faced, and her experience as a Latin woman in this country. And she even expressed to me that this was something that she enjoyed, that she really liked. And also, I learned a lot about Peruvian food. So here's a quote from YJ's writing prompt for the MLK event coming up. So it says, even though I'm only 20 years old, New Jersey already feels like a new chapter full of opportunities. I love the energy of this state, the different cultures, and the feeling that everyone is chasing a dream.
Hi everyone, my name is Melody, and I will be closing out the presentation and doing a conclusion to reflect on our group work. For the first category regarding interprofessional communication, every week we would meet to discuss as a group about the theme for the week, and Maria would mainly tell us what she had in mind for the theme, and we would discuss how we would present our materials. I would say we were all pretty effective in doing this every week for 5 weeks, and we also were successful in maintaining communication throughout the semester to ensure that we were able to submit everything on time, which was super important to us. Regarding values and ethics, our service promoted autonomy by each of us because in the beginning, Maria kind of explained to us how we were going to do our materials, but as the weeks went on, we kind of developed our own autonomy in how we would create the lessons for them and different images and pictures that we could use to personalize it. We also decided the best way personally that we wanted to structure our content and add our own visuals. We also set clear goals and expectations at the beginning of the semester in the project, so that from that point on, we were each able to foster our own creativity, which I feel like led to more engagement from each of us regarding this project. Moving on to roles and responsibilities, I feel that each member of our group fulfilled their role very effectively. Again, we would decide as a group who would be responsible for what materials, and we sustained this throughout the semester, and there were no issues. Also, each group member was effective in their role by submitting work on time and also communicating if there were any questions that they had about the work. Moving on to teams and teamwork, our group worked pretty well together during the semester, I would say. We also worked great as a team. I feel like we communicated very well. We always asked questions if there was any confusion, and we all contributed equally to the group projects. Our group member, Maria, would provide the rest of the team with the theme for the week, and then we would kind of talk about the theme, what would be, good words to use, the grammar for the week, and then we would kind of use our own creativity to make the materials. Again, if there was any confusion, we always made sure that we communicated with all the members and with each other to make sure that everybody was on the same page with all the directions. Okay, I do want to highlight this quote that Maria shared from Linda McAllister, who is Atlantic Cape's Regions Director for Literacy New Jersey. And she sent an email. This is a quote from an email taken directly from her regarding risk to literacy New Jersey during this current administration. Well, highlighted part says, we are funded through Title II WIOA, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, which is adult education funding through the Department of Labor. And cuts have been proposed. It also says at the end, this funding provides books, support services, and administration salaries so we can keep this program running. Maria also mentioned that Linda McAllister said that if these cuts go through, that she may not have a job anymore due to the severe funding cuts that can happen. I feel that this is really important to bring up because I feel that it's important that we all can advocate for this group. And Literacy New Jersey, English language learning is very needed in New Jersey. There are many people who do not have English as a first language. So I feel that it's important to advocate for this group. Learning about Literacy New Jersey throughout the semester has also made me realize how important it is. And she also shared contact information for different people for each of us to reach out to regarding speaking up for those who may not be able to speak for themselves to maybe keep the program running and hopefully prevent any budget cuts or reduce funding because this program is so important. All right, so this concludes our presentation. I hope you enjoyed. I think we all enjoyed working together with this service learning throughout the semester. I feel that we all were able to reflect very well through this presentation and also learn a lot about ourselves and learn a lot about ourselves in teaching and what it feels like to do something for the community. So I hope you enjoyed and thank you for watching our presentation.